Hello everybody, and welcome to the Soul and the Body Show. I'm your host, N.CURT Williams Jr., or you can call me Kurt. Let's get started.
If you should awaken, I will be there when you wake from your lovely
Thank you for being here. And what we're going to do now, we're going to continue with the book series before we change formats a little bit. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to redesign the studio a little bit, and we're going to get into another phase of what I do. I'm qualified as a healing minister from the Church of Divine Autonomy way back in the early 80s. And it's something that I haven't practiced in quite a while, but I'm going to re-examine it, brush up a little bit on it, and then I'm going to bring it to you because I know some people who are having issues with high blood pressure, and I may even have an issue myself. So in a couple of weeks, we're going to get into that phase of all of this. We have the spirituality phase, which includes body healing and all that, whatever I can do. I am not the healer. What I can do is teach you how to do what I do so you can heal yourself. So it's not me, I'm not the doctor, you will be. And it's simply meditation exercises and techniques that will show you how to balance your body, and then we'll be able to communicate. I like for people to communicate back with me and let me know if things that they have issues with are being dealt with in a positive way. That's the only way we're going to find out. My stuff works on me. So today we're going to bring you a couple of very interesting chapters. These chapters are interesting because it's about the first Pharaoh by the name of Osiris. And it takes me back 40 years when I was dating a woman, and she had a son by the name of Osiris. And I thought that was such a unique name, and I asked her, I said, how'd you come up with the name? And she told me a story that I thought was incredible. And she said, well, I actually took it from the Greek, the Egyptian pharaoh Osiris. And the story about Osiris, and she went on to explain to me about Osiris having issues with his brother, and his brother wanting to kill him, and so his brother chopped him up. But when he chopped him up into pieces. And then they pieced him back together. But when they pieced him back together, they could not find his ding dong because the brother took off with it for some reason. Now, Thoth, who was also there for the creation of mankind, was able to piece him back together. And some of these stories can get exaggerated. So logically speaking, I believe that he got cut up, but it wasn't beyond repair. Now, we do know from the story of John Wayne Bobbitt that you can get your dingling cut off and they put it back. So we know you can have severed limbs, for instance, and they can be reattached. And so we're going to, the incredible thing about that story she told me, but what I'm leaving out is the fact that the metaphor of the story was simply that he was a regular guy before the incident, but after he got his implant, he received his implant from an extremely endowed individual who had just passed away. But when he got his new one, his attitude and perspective began to change. He turned from a humble, kind of nice person to this narcissistic, egotistical giant, because his stuff was giant now. When you see the obelisk, the Washington Monument, as she described to me, that is a symbol in the reflection of the Egyptian history of the story of Osiris. There are all kinds of obelisks that are all around the world, and so now you know these obelisks are in reference to Osiris and the story we're about to tell you today. So I had no idea that 40 years later, I would be literally researching that story, breaking it down and putting it into a book. It kind of explains a bit of synchronicity when it comes to how things can happen to you early in your life that you will still need later on in your life. I believe that the whole system is synchronicitous. I believe that everything works this way. Let me get to the first part of our presentation today, chapter 39, Osiris and Set.
Chapter 39, Osiris and Set.
So began the brother wars between Set and Osiris. So strong was the relationship between Osiris and Isis that few could not notice the royal couple no matter what they were engaged in or when they were engaged in it. The love, the respect, the beauty was all inspiring to create this wondrous feeling of inclusion by all who were in witness. There was one such person who by reason of fate would also become entangled into the dramatic outcome of the relationship of Osiris and Isis. This was no other than the younger sister to the two and now wife of Set, Nephthys. While Set was away no doubt practicing his great skills as a swordsman and fighter, wife Nephthys was living her own fantasy in dual cohabitation with the royal couple. For some reason, Isis condoned the open relationship, allowing her young sister to share in the magic that was Osiris, though this would eventually greatly enrage Set. Nephthys would sometimes spend as much time as possible with the two. To Nephthys, Osiris was a real man. Set was a primitive, small-minded, barbaric Neanderthal, literally. Nephthys wanted nothing more than to see her husband angered and enraged with jealousy. One night Set entered the palace where Osiris and Isis were enjoying yet again the companionship of Nephthys. All knew that Set had come for her as he yelled and screamed for her as he walked the corridors in each of the palace's 4 main chambers. With not one but 2 swords swinging, Set began destroying objects around the palace halls. The guards knew they were no match for Set, as he was indeed the finest swordsman in all of Egypt. Set knew not where to find the threesome, as they were in the mystery quarters that were created just for such an occurrence. Instead, Set found Thoth in the royal palace, where he thought he would find his inconsiderate and insatiable sister-wife. At this point, Set was more than willing to destroy anything and anyone standing in the way of his resolute. Set found Thoth standing silently behind a pillar in the corner of the main ballroom. If he didn't know any better, he would have thought that Thoth was hiding from him. Set would like nothing more than to kill not only Osiris but his teacher and mentor Thoth as well.
Thoth, I see you there.
Cried Set as he stood in the center of the main floor shouting at Thoth.
Come out, you coward.
Shouted Set. Thoth then replied.
Coward? Not I am. I'm just waiting for someone.
Said Thoth.
Whom like the gods?
Asked Set.
The gods can't help you now, you phallus of a sheep.
Shouted Set. Just then Thoth revealed himself to the shouting Set, as the palace guards finally arrived. Thoth demanded that Set lowered his weapon or he would surely order the guards to render him weaponless. Set replied,
I'd love to see them try!
As he grabbed yet another sword from its leather scabbard. Then with 2 swords drawn, 5 of the palace guard drew their weapons and approached Set in an aggressive attempt to disarm him. As they drew nearer, Set began to warn the guards of the variety of limbs that they may lose on this night. The guards had no choice but to do what guards do. Attack, believing that their sheer numbers would fatally wound Set. However, this would not be the case as Set began his onslaught, leaving, as he said, parts of bodies bloodied upon the floor. Other guards entered the fray as they too were slaughtered like animals by the great. With blood driven from the 2 swords and the many guards that attempted to engage him, Set shouted yet again to Thoth to reveal himself and be slaughtered.
Come forth, you cowardly Thoth,
Said Set.
Come by not.
Said Thoth from behind the pillar.
thee should be ashamed of thyself.
Said Set.
Shame thy not.
Shouted Thoth as his voice shivered like a dove's cry. Meanwhile, Osiris, Isis and Nephthys were rushed out of the palace into a carriage. Thoth then ran out onto the windswept desert, hoping that the guards could hold Set off for a while.
Come hither, you faint, poor, excuseful man.
Said Set yet again.
I shall fight you in 2 weeks once I recover my favorite killing sword.
Said Thoth. By this time, more than 100 guards arrived to the palace to rescue Thoth from his impending death. He was beginning to run out of words and excuses as Set truly wanted the blood of the great Thoth to add to his resume. As the guards entered, Set began his retreat, knowing that Osiris could not hide forever. Thoth shouted out once again.
Is he gone? He better be glad you guys came when you did. I was just about to rip him to shreds if I only had my great killing sword.
Said Thoth. After all the excitement was over, Osiris, Isis and Nephthys ventured out into the palace ballroom where the carnage laid fresh on the stone floor.
You ladies should have been here to see what I did to all of them.
Shouted Thoth.
I chopped them here, and I chopped them there.
He shouted.
They better be glad that you guys came when you did.
How many were there, Master Thoth? Asked the pyramid priest.
Far too many for me to recall.
Said Thoth, as he attempted to stand there in his pseudo-frenetic self-fantasy.
Subscribe and push the like button.
Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that. I know the graphics are a little cartoonish. That's because I put them together myself, and I'm not a graphic artist. I just have little time on my hands, and I'm able to use Final Cut Pro and take pictures, throw them together to try to represent. It's not professional, but it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, they're kind of cheesy, but they prove the point, because it really helps to visualize. You guys have to use your imagination and take my little simplified, almost infantile videos and kind of use your imagination. That's what I want you to do. I want you to use your imagination with my simplified descriptions. Although the writing is good, though the writing is professional, I am a writer, but I'm not a graphic artist, and I'm the one that's making these videos. Later on, we'll be able to afford to have a graphic artist who specializes in this kind of thing. See, when you look at other people's videos, they have pros. Well, we have me, so we're going to get there. So anyway, what I'd like to do now is introduce you to the next chapter. This one is called The Killing of Osiris, Chapter 40. Enjoy.
Chapter 40. The Killing of Osiris. The death of Osiris was a confusing one because it happened more than once. Just a few days after Set had slain several guards at the palace, he returned and hid in a kitchen pantry near the main ballroom. Set was determined to find Osiris with Nephthys after yet another night away from their home. Set was so enraged that he was fully prepared to slice through as many guards as necessary to kill Osiris, including the cowardly Thoth. Set grew more angered as he could hear the three laughing and taunting an imaginary Set. Set waited there in the kitchen for hours before his chance came. As Osiris walked about the palace unguarded while Set silently approached the oblivious king. In the blink of an eye, Set spoke no words before a swift downstroke of his mighty sword left Osiris's torso headless, while fountains of blood spewed upwards as the rest of his body shook and quivered violently on the floor. So profuse was the passion and rage of Set that his bloodied sword vibrated as it remained in extreme indignation, with the wrath of 1,000 ages felt in each ardent stroke. With each tremendous slash, Set shouted the name of his wife Nephthys, until pieces laid 40 around the perimeter of the chamber. The shouts could be heard throughout the palace as it seemed no guard hurried to confront their fear. The walls of the palace were shaken by the horrendous sounds that scorched each and every ear that hearkened with trembling. As the palace guards began to merge towards the sounds, Set calmly paced himself outwards from the palace and onto the blonde steed, but not before he grabbed Osiris's dismembered penis and took it away. Suddenly the cries began as they permeated the pyramid complex. Isis and Nephthys were beyond sorrow as their despondency was felt to all that were knowing throughout the realm. Quickly word found Thoth, and his horse's overworked heart burst from exhaustion, and onto the desert floor he fell, 2 miles from the palace, as it could not keep pace with the tempo, and the tempo's demands that were placed upon it. Jumped he then onto another rider's steed as they rushed to the place where 40 dismembered units were blooded and thrashed about. In the midst of the bloody gore, Isis and Nephthys curled in a clutched embrace, shivering from horror of the sight and sheer pandemonium. Immediately Thoth grabbed to console the two, while explaining that if they hurry they may be able to piece together all dismemberment. Thoth then began to chant incantations, while wrapping the body tightly, keeping warm, while performing much magic, in an attempt to reverse the catastrophic event. All persons there that could help did help, as the particulars were carefully executed under the emergency medical instructions of Thoth.
Subscribe and push the like button.
Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that. It was hard making that one. Where am I going to find a horse in it anyway? So, now, getting back to explaining about the episodes coming up. Just to give you a bit of background, when you are into meditational healing and the techniques that I was taught, it reminds me of an incident that happened when I was about 16 years old. When I was very young, I developed an eye issue, an eye disease, really called iritis. It's inflammation of the iris. It's pretty dangerous and very painful. And I remember when I was 16 years old, I had an episode and my cousin had to take me to Kaiser at 10 o'clock at night. Well, when we got to Kaiser in Hollywood, we went to the emergency room and they knew nothing about what was going on in my eye. So they got on the phone and called up their resident ophthalmologist. The ophthalmologist said, okay, have the security meet me at the building across the street because this is something that we have to attend to immediately or he could be blind by morning. So in the middle of the night, security guard and I and the doctor went into the building. He put me on the scope. Some of you people know that little scope you put your chin on, and he's like, wow, you got it all right. He said, this is a very rare thing, but you have it. So we walked right down to the pharmacy, gave a prescription, neodecadrone it was called. And so we, took it and dilated the pupil, everything was fine. I said that to say this. A few years later, I was on my way to visit my mother in Pebble Beach, and it happened again. The eye flared up, and I was 6 hours away from any kind of Kaiser hospital and had no medication. And it was really the first time that I realized that, hey, remember that healing technique I learned and never tried on anybody? That will come in handy right now. I'm going to find out right now if it worked. So I used the technique on this very serious ailment, and by golly, it worked like a charm. I mean, the eye literally just, what it is, this inflammation of the iris, they got these little things swimming around in there, and, because that's the way the doctors explained it to me. And so basically, they were gone. And it only took me about 30 minutes of a process one time to clear up a situation that is that serious. This is amazing, and this is a true story. Another particular thing that I had that was serious was a disease called colitis. I acquired that, and I knew I had a friend who's a chiropractor in holistic medicine, and I believe that she could fix anything. And I called her up and said, hey, how are you with colitis? She said, I'm very good with colitis. I can straighten that out for you. I said, really? I'm coming to see you. She said, well, I'm in Santa Barbara now. So what I did was I grabbed my whole family, sister, mother. We all got in a car. We ran on up to Santa Barbara to see, they worked on my mother, my sister, and myself. And what she did for me was she found out the root cause of the colitis. And she said that this is coming from the oils that you're using when you cook. She made me convert all the oil into grapeseed oil only. And she said that will help. And then she prescribed me about $500 worth of vitamins for colon support. What colitis is, I forgot to mention. It is a situation where the white blood cells are triggered into going to certain areas where they need to fight an illness, a disease, something. When it gets to the colon, it realizes that there's nothing there to fight. So it actually starts fighting and eating the inside of your colon walls. It's like we didn't come here for nothing kind of a deal. And they don't stop until you're gone. So you have to treat it. It has to be treated. And it doesn't go away. It's forever. It goes into remission, but it comes back. Sometimes you have to have your colon removed. But she told me to go on the grapeseed oil, which worked. I ended up finding out why I had it in the first place. The reason I had it in the first place is because I owned a group home. And when you own group homes, one that is based on behaviors, well, when it's time for people to have dinner like 8:30 and to go to bed, they go to bed. You don't want to come in there cooking at 10 o'clock. I had to be at work at 10. I ate dinner after I left the gym at 10, so I had to eat. I didn't want to eat there because it would cause, like I said, behaviors. So I would eat outside, pick up something real quick. For 5 years, 5 nights a week, I ate the same exact thing from a certain fast food chicken restaurant. I'm not going to tell you which one it was because I don't want to throw them under the bus. However, it wasn't Kentucky Fried Chicken and it wasn't Louisiana. It was another one that sounded like a religion. But anyway, it was the oil from that place that was causing my colitis. I knew that because while it was in remission, I went back there and got me one of them 24-piece. And as soon as I ate it the next day, the colitis was back. And then I used to be able to create a recipe. I called it wings and things, where I was using a lot of rice. And anyway, I was able to control it to the point where the medication I got the very first time, I only took it for about 2 weeks and it wasn't doing anything. I stopped taking it and I ended up like just with the grapeseed oil, eliminated it until I went back and had some more of that chicken. As long as I avoided those oils, I was fine. This went on, this was cool for like 15 years. And finally, it started coming back. Recently, maybe a couple of years ago, probably because of stress. So I started doing my healing meditation exercise again. And I tell you what, it works on colitis better than the grapeseed oil does. Every time it pops, I even eat some of this chicken. I can eat some of this chicken now if I want to because I know it's going to cause colitis and I know I can get rid of it with a simple meditation exercise. I'm not kidding. So these are things. Now I also realize that I have another issue that I'm going to deal with. It's the prostate thing. So I can tell that you know, we used to be able to push and shoot a long way, but now it turns into like a little wee hose, and so you know something's not right. And before I go to the doctor and get the finger job again, I did that one time about maybe 10 years ago. I'm going to work here and I'm going to bring some people in. We're going to do the exercises, and I'm going to see if I can shrink that prostate. Do that in real time. If it works, it works. I'll tell you. If I say, well, I better go to the doctor, it's not working, then it doesn't work on that. It doesn't mean it's not. It got the colitis and it got the iritis. We'll see what it does with the prostate situation. So that's coming up in a couple of weeks. So thank you guys for coming, and please like and subscribe. We're, like I said, once we get into the healing aspect of it and the connecting to your spiritual aspect, then you'll really see what this show is really about. Thank you for coming, and I'll see you next week.
I'll be there when you wait for your love. Your of you, your love. Before you know, you see, so long ago, when I had you close to me, and my world was close to you, close to you. I will forever love you.
Subscribe and push the like button.